Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Danielle, aka Stitcherista here on YouTube, and today's video is a book haul. So in the hubbub of ordering gifts from Amazon a few times between Black Friday, Cyber Monday, all of that, I also ordered myself some books. So I keep a book wish list on Amazon for books that I see that I like. And then Black Friday, Cyber Monday, I checked those lists to see if any were marked down, and some were. So I have 6 books here, and I thought I would go through them, show them, tell you the synopsis. So the very first one, which was a Reese's Book Club pick at one point, is Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine. So the premise, okay, this is soon to be a major motion picture produced by Reese Witherspoon. That's cool. Meet Eleanor Oliphant. She struggles with appropriate social skills and tends to say exactly what she's thinking. Nothing is missing in her carefully timetabled life, where weekends mostly consist of frozen pizza, vodka, and phone chats with Mummy. But everything changes when Eleanor meets Raymond, the bumbling IT guy from her office, whose big heart will ultimately help Eleanor find the way to repair her own profoundly damaged one. Smart, warm, and uplifting, Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine is the story of an out-of-the-ordinary heroine whose deadpan weirdness and wit make for an irresistible journey as she realizes the only way to survive is to open your heart. And my neck is red. I just walked outside. And it's really cold outside. So I walked in and now I'm like out of breath. I feel like I'm going to love this like I loved Joe Nothin's Guide to Life, which is my favorite book of all time. Love books like this. Love rooting for the underdog, for weird and quirky people, because I think we're all weird and quirky in our own way. So I empathize with that. My next book is Carol Goodman's newest book. Now, Carol Goodman has written a lot of books, and I have read every single one. I have loved every single one. She writes what I would like to call Gothic mysteries. So this one is called Return to Wyldcliffe Heights. Losing yourself inside a book can be dangerous. Not everyone finds their way out. Agnes Corey, an editorial assistant at a small independent publisher, has been hired by enigmatic author Veronica St. Clair to transcribe the sequel to her 1994 hit phenomenon, The Secret of Wyldcliffe Heights. St. Clair has been a recluse since the publication of the Jane Eyre? It's Eyre, right? Jane Eyre-esque book, which coincided with a terrible fire that blinded and scarred her. Really? Arriving in the Hudson Valley at St. Clair's crumbling estate, which was once a psychiatric hospital for wayward women, Agnes is eager to ensure St. Clair's devoted fans will get the sequel they've been anticipating for the past 30 years. 30 years? As St. Clair dictates, Agnes realizes there are clues in the story that reveal the true and terrifying events that 3 decades ago inspired the original novel. The line between fact and fiction becomes increasingly blurred, and Agnes discovers terrible secrets about an unresolved murder from long ago that have startling connections to her own life. As St. Clair's twisting tale infiltrates Agnes's psyche, Agnes begins to question her own sanity and safety. To save herself, Agnes must uncover what really happened to St. Clair, and in doing so, set free the stories of all the women victimized by Wyldcliffe Heights. Woo! That's going to be a whopper of a book. It reminds me somewhat of, I'm looking for it on my bookshelf, the 7 Marriages of Evelyn Hugo, because Evelyn hires somebody to pen her biography, and the woman that she hires is tied to her, and she doesn't know it. This reminds me of that a teeny tiny bit. It's going to be a lot to unpack in that book. But I love Carol Goodman. I've read so many of her books. Okay, the next one, this is a chunker. Look at that. This book is 442 pages. This is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I recently saw this in one of my book groups and was like, this is quite intriguing because I also like, to a certain extent, time travel books and movies. I love The Age of Adeline. I loved The Time Traveler's Wife. Yeah. Okay, so here is the premise. France, 1714. In a moment of desperation, a young woman named Adeline meets a dangerous stranger and makes a terrible mistake. It will be 300 years before she stumbles into a hidden bookstore and discovers someone who can remember her name. And suddenly, everything changes again. So the premise that I read, and I don't have my iPad, is that she makes a deal with somebody that she'll be able to live forever, but nobody will remember her, if that makes sense. And I was like, I am quite intrigued. And France, 1714. One of my favorite books of all time is The Crimson Petal and the White. And it's about a prostitute named Sugar in like Victorian London. Fantastic book. It was made into a 4-part series on PBS or something. Couldn't have been PBS. It would have been quite risque for that. I don't remember what it was on, but I watched it. It was fantastic. The book was amazing. And that book was like 1,000 pages, 800 pages, something crazy like that. I know I'm going to love that. Okay. Now, the next one is something of a self-help book. So I think most of us deal with, especially as you get older, somewhat of chronic pain. Working on a computer for 25 years, arm, back, all that kind of stuff. I came across this book and I was quite intrigued. This is called A Revolutionary, Scientifically Proven Approach to Healing Chronic Pain, The Way Out by Alan Gordon. And what it is, it says chronic pain is an epidemic. 50 million Americans struggle with back pain, headaches, or some other pain that resists all treatment. Desperate pain sufferers are told again and again that there is no cure for chronic pain. Alan Gordon, a psychotherapist and the founder of the Pain Psychology Center in Los Angeles, was in grad school when he started experiencing chronic pain, which completely derailed his life. He saw multiple doctors and received many diagnoses, but none of the medical treatments helped. Frustrated with conventional pain management, he developed pain reprocessing therapy, or PRT, a mind-body protocol that eliminated his own chronic pain and has transformed the lives of thousands of his patients. PRT is rooted in neuroscience, which has shown that while chronic pain feels like it's coming from the body, in most cases, it's generated by misfiring pain circuits in the brain. PRT is a system of psychological techniques that rewires the brain to break out of the cycle of chronic pain. The University of Colorado Boulder recently conducted a large randomized controlled study on PRT, and the results were remarkable. By the end of the study, the majority of patients were pain-free or nearly pain-free. What's more, these dramatic changes held up over time. The Way Out brings PRT to readers. It combines accessible science with a concrete, step-by-step plan to teach sufferers how to heal their own chronic pain. I am very curious to read this because I am a huge proponent of the brain is everything. You can make yourself feel sick. I think you can make yourself feel better. Have you ever walked into a room and felt the energy change? Like, your brain is a powerful, powerful thing that I feel like we don't know we have so much power. When I read this, I will let you guys know. All right. The next book is a little interesting. It is called Department of Speculation. And again, I saw this on a book group on Facebook. When they were young and giddy and in love, Department of Speculation was their code name for all the thrilling uncertainties that lay ahead. Years later, when their marriage reaches a sudden breaking point, the wife tries to retrace the steps that have led them to this place, evoking everyone from Kafka to the Stoics to Russian cosmonauts. In language that shimmers with rage and longing and wit, the author has created a brilliantly suspenseful love story, a novel to read in one sitting, even as its piercing meditations linger long after the last page. Because the book is set up in just like little snippets of stuff. It's a different kind of book. And it's not really that big. You probably could sit here and read it in one sitting. It is 177 pages. Yeah. And then the last book is a book that, again, I think I'm going to love like I love Joe Nothing's Guide to Life. This is called The Borrowed Life of Frederick Fife. So the premise of this one, Frederick Fife was born with an extra helping of kindness in his heart. If he borrowed your car, he would return it washed with a full tank of gas. The problem is, there's nobody left in Fred's life to borrow from. At 82, he's lonely, broke, and on the brink of homelessness. But Fred's luck changes when, in a bizarre case of mistaken identity, he takes the place of grumpy Bernard Greer at the local nursing home. Now he has warm meals and a roof over his head, as long as his poker face stays in better shape than his prostate and his look-alike never turns up. Denise Sims is stuck breathing the same disappointing air again and again. A middle-aged mom and caregiver at Bernard's facility, her crumbling marriage and daughter's health concerns are suffocating her joy for life. Wounded by her two-faced husband, she vows never to let a man deceive her again. As Fred walks in Bernard's shoes, he leaves a trail of kindness behind him, fueling Denise's suspicions about his true identity. When unexpected truths are revealed, Fred and Denise rediscover their sense of purpose and learn how to return a broken life to mint condition. Bittersweet and remarkably perceptive, The Borrowed Life of Frederick Fife is a hilarious, feel-good, clever novel about grief, forgiveness, redemption, and finding family. I am such a huge lover of books like these, and I am also a huge proponent of the smallest kindness can just have far-reaching consequences. And I'm a firm believer too in God and the universe, and when I am struck to do something, I usually try to do it. The smallest act of kindness doesn't have to be these big grand gestures. I'm going to love this book. I know it. I was going to check it out from the library, but they didn't have it. And so I requested it, but it sat in my holds thing for months. And I said, I'm just going to buy it because I know I'm going to love it. So let me know down below. Have you read any of these books? Are you interested in any of these books? Yeah, I will. If I remember, I will link all of them down below. As always, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below, and I will answer them to the best of my ability. Thank you so much for watching and subscribing and sharing my love of reading, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.